I want you to really pay attention at just how unkillable you are with this setup. These clips are from activities where I'm 30 light levels under, or even things like Expert Nether where you don't regen health. With this build, you can confidently go into any content and expect not to die. You can take damage from anything of champions, bosses, or even just a large group of ads. And even while all that's going on, there's other stuff that plays into the build that makes it very strong for your team and very strong for ad clear. This build is honestly going to be very similar to my previous Warlock build, so if you want a build sort of like this for the Warlock, definitely be sure to go check that one out. That one focuses way more on offensive, whereas this one is more defensive and team oriented, but it can still do a lot of damage. But as always, if you enjoy finding this video helpful, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff. We're on the road to 55,000 subscribers, and all the support goes a long way and is truly appreciated. And finally, if you're looking for people to play with or just to hang out, be sure to join our community Discord server. I'm trying to make it a place so we can hang out, game, keep up to date with the news, and we would love to have you over there. Anyways though, let's jump into one of the tankiest Titan builds that you will ever play. All right, jumping right into it. First things first, we need to talk about the aspect Unbreakable. This is where a lot of this is going to be coming from. It says hold your grenade button to summon a void shield that draws hostile fire and blocks a portion of incoming damage, gradually draining your grenade energy and granting an overshield over time. Releasing the grenade input or running out of energy releases a frontal blast from your shield that deals increased damage based on how much damage was blocked. Combatants that come in contact with your shield are temporarily disoriented. So obviously that is a lot, but the main takeaway here is that you could just charge a grenade up, very similar to Controverse Hold on Warlock, but instead you're going to get a frontal shield, and this shield got massively buffed. So they increase the health of the shield, so it's just going to be able to tank more damage. And as you've seen from a lot of the clips already, it quite literally is in the name. It is unbreakable. There has not been a single time I have played where this thing is actually broke. Sometimes you will run out of energy if enemies just aren't shooting you, but when it comes to the shield actually breaking, it almost never happens. But like the aspect said, while you're holding the shield up, you'll be granted a passive overshield, and they also increase the charge rate that this is provided. So pretty much now when you put this up, you're going to have a shield that is quite literally not going to break, while also granting a void overshield, which gives you even more damage resistance, and you're going to be able to spam these all the time. But they also changed it now, so when you're receiving damage, the meter on the bottom left of your stream will charge a lot faster to reach max damage, and then you can throw it, and the grenade itself also is going to do 20% more damage. So even though this is a very defensive tool, you could charge up a very hefty amount of damage to easily one-shot almost any ad in the game. Even at higher tier content, red bars will even get one shot by this, which makes it very nice to play into some other aspects of the build. But overall, just note this grenade actually can do a ton of damage now. It's really easy to use, and it's also quite literally unbreakable. And if that wasn't enough, now when you throw it, instead of it taking all of your grenade energy, it's only going to take half. So if you're sitting here taking a lot of damage and you see that your grenade energy is at max, you can throw it and it's only going to take half your grenade, which is very, very solid. Pairing this with a specific exotic, you pretty much can spam these all the time. And that specific exotic is actually going to be Ursa Furiosa. I know a lot of people haven't used this in a while, but it has the exotic perk Ursine Guard. Move faster while guarding with Sentinel Shield or the Unbreakable Shield. Damage blocked with the Sentinel Shield is converted to super energy, and damage blocked with the Unbreakable is converted to grenade energy. So this exotic has a couple different parts that are very good with this build. First off, you're going to get 15% increased movement speed with your Unbreakable and Sentinel Shield while it's up, which is nice. You can just get around the map a little faster. But the main thing is now they changed Ursa to now grant grenade energy for your Unbreakable instead of granting super energy. Now some people might see this as a nerf, but in all honesty, with how strong Unbreakable is, I think this is a flat out buff, because now you can charge a grenade up, only take half the grenade energy if you throw it while it is at max grenade charge, and the Ursa grenade energy return is basically going to give you a full grenade almost every time. If it's not a full grenade, it's normally 70-80%. Sometimes it can be around 50% energy if you do throw it when it's at its least amount of energy while you're holding the shield up. But with everything else going on in the build, even if it is at 50, 60, 70%, you're still going to be able to get your grenade back extremely quick. Now, the other cool benefit of this is the fact that if you do run Sentinel Shield, you basically just have a bigger Unbreakable. So that means now you can use your super to also keep yourself alive, keep your team alive of all that sort. And then after your super is taking all the damage, you get super energy back to cast another one. You can get to around 50% of your super back if you do take a lot of damage, and this is very, very good. There's going to be a lot of synergies that pair with the super and the Unbreakable. One of those being the fact that if you do have Sentinel Shield equipped and you're using your Unbreakable aspect, your Unbreakable will now just make orbs as it takes damage. So not only are you just being able to tank literally everything in the game between your grenade and super, you're now also passively making orbs for your team and blocking all the damage. One final thing to point out about Unbreakable is that if you do run into lower tier enemies with it, you will disorient them. This works as a pseudo blinding grenade, and since you move faster with Ursa, you could just run up and just keep blinding enemies while tanking all the damage. And remember, when you do pop Unbreakable, you do draw all the aggro of all the enemies. So all the enemies that are shooting your teammates theoretically should start shooting you now. You can block all the damage, blind all the enemies, make orbs for your team, have infinite amount of these. You're quite literally unkillable all the time. You're going to get your super back extremely quick, so you can pop that. You're going to be able to block teammates with that, and all of that is just the beginning, because all of this will also play into our subclass, and it is just ridiculously strong. But speaking of the subclass, let's take a look at the other stuff that's going to help out with this. First off, we're going to be running controlled demolition. So hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode. Grants you and nearby allies health when volatile targets explode near you. So not only is this build going to be very strong for in-game content surviving all the time, this is also going to make it very strong for lower tier content and even higher tier content for some of the abilities that it does provide. So basically now, whenever you hit an enemy with an ability or your volatile hits an enemy, you're going to just reapply volatile. You're going to have constant explosions, and every single time a volatile explosion happens, if you and your teammates are near them, you actually are going to get health regen. This works in things like the Nether. Obviously, this is also just good in horror content in general, because if you can make everything volatile, that means not only are you tanking all the damage, but you also are just passively healing your team as well. Controlled demolition is a very fun and strong aspect to play around. And not only are you just getting insane ad clear from all the volatile, especially playing into a lot of the stuff we have this season, but on top of that, it also adds as another utility tool for your team, again, to constantly provide health regen. And while all that's going on, you also again just are unkillable with the Unbreakable aspect. But a little bit more about Unbreakable is that we're going to be running this Gather Grenade, since it does have the lowest cooldown. You aren't even using your grenade at all. Again, you're just mainly charging this up for the Unbreakable. But then I also like to run Towering Barricade. If you want to run Rally, you can, to have a lower cooldown, but with Towering, I feel like it plays more into the fantasy of this. You have your Sentinel Shield to block damage, you have your Unbreakable to block damage, now you just have a giant Barricade to also block damage, and Barricades also have gotten a large amount of buffs. It is very tanky now. You can throw this, get a res, anything of the sort, and again, you're just literally unkillable for your entire team. Now, for your melee, I like to run Shield Bash, but Shield Throw is also fine. You're not really taking advantage of your melee too much. I just run Shield Bash literally for utility and a movement tool. That it can stun overload champions if you ever need to, because it can suppress, but on top of that, you can just use it as a movement tool to get into an area, put a shield down, res a teammate, anything of that sort. Now, I do want to talk about Sentinel Shield a little bit more real quick, and that is the fact that it can pair with Controlled Demolition. So the way this is going to work, if you actually have the Sentinel Shield up, if you run into enemies, it's going to technically cause a little bit of damage, and you're going to be able to constantly apply volatile to everything that you touch. Now, you can opt in to just go for the melee, detonate it all, which is cool, and then again, since your super is an ability, you'll also apply volatile again. But the main thing is, if you hold the Sentinel Shield up, blocking all the damage, you're sitting here constantly applying volatile if you are running into enemies, which then your teammates can shoot to add clear even more, get the health regen. And then if your teammates are moving with you while you have that shield up, they're going to be getting 40% increased damage while they're behind your shield. It also gives some handling and reload speed, which is great for any, boss DPS situation. You're going to make your team unkillable, and you're also buffing them by quite a lot. And then if that was enough with the Sentinel Shield, while you are blocking damage, you can make Orbs of Power, very similar to how your Unbreakable works. And again, with all that combined together back with Ursa, you're going to be able to spam these quite a lot, and you're going to be getting benefits all the time. And for the fragments with this build, I like to go with Echo Cessation, so whenever you defeat a volatile target, we'll make a Void Breach, and if we finish a target, all the enemies around the finished target will become volatile. Void Breach is good because we can get our class ability back very quickly, because every time you pick a Void Breach up, it grants class ability energy, and since we're going to be making enemies volatile all the time with the Controlled Demolition, that means we will just pretty much always have a Void Breach on the battlefield 24/7. Now, next up is going to be Echo of Starvation. So when we pick up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power, we get Devoured. So obviously, we can make Void Breaches, we're going to get Devour, we're going to make Orbs with our armor mods, so that just means now we're going to be granted Devour. Devour, every time we get a kill, we're going to get grenade energy back, and we're going to get health. So obviously, this is very strong because we're getting an Overshield with Unbreakable. Now we're going to get health every time we're getting kills. We're getting grenade energy back to play back into Unbreakable. Devour is just ridiculously good. And next up is going to be Echo of Reprisal. So Final Blows, when we're surrounded, is going to grant extra super energy. This is great because, again, we do have Ursa to grant us super energy back. Now, since we always want to be up close and personal anyway, with Unbreakable to disorient enemies, to tank all the damage, we're just going to passively just get extra super energy so we can spam our Sentinel Shield even more. Then next up is Echo of Instability. So defeating targets with grenades grant volatile rounds to our void weapons. Like I said in the beginning, Unbreakable can actually do a hefty chunk of damage now since it can stack up a lot faster. We're going to be able to proc Echo of Instability quite a lot, and that will grant us, again, volatile rounds for any void weapon that we run. And remember that volatile will play into controlled demolition, so if you do blow a volatile target up, it's going to spread the volatile, and it just becomes this chain reaction of explosions while also healing your teammates. But now talking about weapons, let's take a look at some. It's honestly up to you what you want to run. Just make sure you are running a void weapon. I really like Velocity Baton because it can get demo on it and attrition orbs. You're making a lot of orbs for your team. You're going to be able to just get your grenade energy back a lot quicker. And since it's an area now, you can basically spray it everywhere. With controlled demolition, you literally can just blow up a whole room with volatile. Now, if you want to take something like a primary, again, any void weapon will work. I would highly recommend running something with demo, because the way this can work is that if you have Unbreakable, you throw the grenade, it will then reload your gun. You could shoot the Velocity Baton or any other gun you're shooting, and then you should get your grenade back with literally like one kill. You can charge your grenade up again, throw it again, and you get this like kind of flow down where you literally never have to reload your gun, and also the demo is just providing extra grenade energy. If you can get a Velocity Baton, I would highly recommend that, but again, any other void weapon, especially if it has demo on it, is going to be completely fine. Now for my other weapons, I do just like to run Tenacious because it has chill clip. I can use this to take down every single champion in the game with some artifact perks, and obviously Queen Breaker for damage, but you can just swap this out for whatever boss that you're fighting. But speaking of artifact perks, let's actually take a look at them real quick because there's not too many that you really have to run. Volatile Marksman is just going to make it so when you get rapid void weapon final blows or precision hits, it grants volatile rounds. This is just a great way to keep volatile up for your Velocity Baton. Next up is just going to be Maligned Harvest. So rapidly applying volatile causes your next instance of void weapons to create a weakening burst. So since we're going to be able to apply volatile all the time, all our void damage can now just apply weakening burst. And then Void Flux, so when you defeat a weakened target with a void weapon, it will apply volatile to nearby targets. So this is just great. Again, since we're going to be able to weaken enemies with Malign Harvest, we're going to be able to just apply more volatile. Again, this all will play back into controlled demolition. And then for the other ones, just piercing sidearms. So again, if you do have a chill clip Tenacious, you can stun every single champion in the game. If you have the Salvation Set Sniper, you could also run anti-barrier sniper. And then particle reconstruction if you are running Queen Breaker, just so you can do a ton of damage. And then for the final thing, Dreadful Finisher is nice. Since I do mainly just run a special weapon for my ad clear here, this is just very good because now whenever you finish a powerful target, you'll just make special ammo. And this is what it really allows you to run double special, pairing that with some of our armor mods. And overall, that's pretty much only the artifact perks you need. But now jumping into our stats, it's a no-brainer. Take 100 resilience because this is going to give you 30% more damage reduction to tank everything. This also does increase your class ability cooldown rate on the Titan, so you get your barricade a lot faster. Then 100 discipline, since you want to spam Unbreakable, you want to be able to have this up pretty much all the time. Again, between 100 discipline, your Devour right here, and your Ursa, you're going to be able to spam these literally 24/7. And then finally, I just opted in to take Intellect just to get my super a little bit quicker. If you want to go into your melee, you can. It doesn't really matter too much here. And again, recovery doesn't matter because you're getting health from the volatile and Devour and everything like that. So it's totally up to you. I just opted in to put as much intellect as possible, just so I can spam my Sentinel Shield a lot quicker. Now, jumping into armor mods, this is what I'm running if you like to copy it down. But starting off with their helmet, I do run a Harmonic Siphon, so rapid void weapon final blows to make an orb of power. You always want to run a void weapon this build, so this just means you're always making orbs to grant armor charge. Ashes to assets, so we gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. This will work with Unbreakable. Again, you can charge it up to a lot of damage. You're just going to get some extra super energy now for that Sentinel Shield. And then Dynamos, this will reduce our super cooldown. We use our class ability near targets. Our Towering Barricade is going to be another great form of survivability, or blocking an area off, so enemies just kind of get slowed down as they run through it. So again, this just further plays into getting more super energy, which works really well with Ursa. But for our arms, I do like to run a Harmonic Loader, so increase your load speed of void weapons. If you do have demo, you don't need to run this as much, but sometimes you will have to throw a reload in here and there. So I do like to take this just in case. And if I'm not running Velocity Baton, this is very, very nice. And then bolstering detonation and movement of transfer. So whenever we deal damage with a grenade, we'll get class ability energy, and we'll also get some melee energy. Again, this is very nice because we're going to be able to spam my grenade all the time, so we're just getting some extra benefits from that. For our chest piece, always go with resistant mods. Just swap these out for whatever content that you're playing. Then for my boots, I do run an Innervation, Orbs Restoration, Absolution. So with Innervation, every time I pick an orb up, I get grenade energy. With Orbs of Restoration, every time I pick an orb up, I'm going to get energy for my least cooldown ability. And then for Absolution, when I pick an orb up, I'm going to get cooldown for all of my abilities. So basically, with all these combined together, we're just going to get giga grenade energy back. Kind of like I said in my Warlock video, this this low-key might be too much grenade energy because you already get it back extremely quick. So if you want to swap these out for pretty much anything else, you can, but things like recuperation you don't need. If you want to go to the surge mods, good, but I don't like to take surge mods, and that's specifically because I do like to run special finisher. So whenever I finish an enemy and max armor charge stacks, I'll get special ammo. So this is what allows me to choose my velocity baton 24/7. I can then pair that with proximity war, so I can get a powerful overshield whenever I go for a finisher. This is nice because, again, with Echo of Cessation, we're going to make all the enemies around us volatile. When we go for a finisher, we're going to get an overshield for survivability, and we're making special ammo not only for us but for our team as well, which obviously this is a very team oriented build. This is another great benefit. And then finally, powerful attraction. So whenever we use our class ability, we'll pick up all the orbs around us. Since we're going to be in the thick of it, literally using our towering barricade, we're going to be able to pick all the orbs up. This is going to grant us armor charge for more special ammo, grant us more grenade energy, so we can just be unkillable even more because we'll have more unbreakables to throw. And overall, this is pretty much the build. Again, you kind of want to just spam your Unbreakable and your Sentinel Shield all the time to be pretty much unkillable, provide your teammates with a lot of benefits. And overall, this build is a ton of fun. You can even play this build solo if you want to. This is not specifically just a team-oriented build. It just works better in that sense in harder content. But if you want to take this into anything lower tier, you're going to still be able to get a bunch of energy back and proc volatile everywhere, and it's still a ton of fun. And for the final part of the build, this is the Transmog I'm running. Obviously, I went for a very winter-themed look. I took advantage of the Shadow White shader. On top of that, the Ursa ornament basically makes it so this fur right here turns white, and you can't change the color of it, so that's why I went into trying to make everything white. Pretty much every single piece of my armor has something to do with some fur on it, except for the helmet, but I thought kind of like the mask coming off of it here kind of was like it resembled warmth in a way. So if you want to make your Titan super cozy, looks like he's in a snowstorm, definitely be sure to copy this down. But that's pretty much all for the build. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. I know it might not be everyone's cup of tea because it is a little bit more defensive based than offensive, but don't get it twisted. You absolutely can run this very offensively, but in harder content, obviously just being able to put your shields up all the time for your team, giving them a bunch of benefits, you're going to be able to conquer pretty much anything in the game with absolute ease. The Unbreakable buff is honestly disgusting. To me, it personally was already pretty strong, just no one used it. They ended up just buffing it like crazy, and now what you see on the screen is what it is doing. So if you're a Titan and you want every teammate you play with to love you, definitely throw on this build and you will have a great time. Anyways, though, that is all from me. I wish y'all the best of luck putting this build together for yourself. I want to thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a great day. Peace.